Hello everyone, my name is Void Doctor and welcome back to another episode on the InfinityCraft server. And today we're starting out this episode in Westhold. Now, don't fret, we will be returning to the mountain town later in the episode. However, first we're starting out in Westhold, and that is because I've been making a large amount of off-camera progress. Now, it's not anything super crazy. I tend to save to save on-camera progress for things that I actually think are important. That's why you may think I'm like, I'm one of those YouTubers who's like, oh, I make all my off-camera progress, or I make all my progress off-camera. No, I just tend to do a lot of the more boring things off camera. Now, this wasn't particularly boring, but it's because it was so experimental, I didn't know if I was going to keep it. So I didn't want to, make a whole, or have to record a whole video and then completely scrap it because I just had to undo all the things that I did in the video, right? So I pretty much, I obviously like how this looks, and what it is I've been pretty much replacing all of the roads. Well, not all of the roads, but these roads, these roads that have been replaced. I replaced them from these older, kind of more rustic style roads to the kind of a more formalized sort of road rather than a path road. So that's kind of my objective, is to make this city feel a lot more, to make Westhold feel more like a city and less like a small village, and to make that feel even more like a city, I've also been implementing things like this little chicken coop here, which pretty much serves no purpose other than just looking interesting and also filling the space. And also this little private garden next to the librarian house, again, kind of just serves the purpose of filling space and also making this alleyway feel a bit more closed in. But again, that's just filling space. So that's kind of what I've been doing off camera, is just making Westhold feel more like a city. And I did build this house, not off camera between last episode and this episode, but like multiple episodes ago. I just built that townhouse there. It's in between the first episode about the mountain town and the second one. So that's when I built that house, if you were wondering. But the first thing I'd like to do in today's episode is just kind of work on these roads some more. And the block palette for the roads, I really think looks neat. Like, it's not super crazy hyper detailed, but you got the path blocks to just not make it feel like a super flat surface. I also might eventually start implementing some stairs in here to make it feel like there's some bricks are missing. But then I've also started using coarse dirt here to make it look like mud or kind of upturned dirt, because I imagine this place being a fairly rainy place. So how long have you been stuck? Oh my, sir, I am so sorry about that. But I imagine this place being fairly rainy, so it makes sense to have the roads lined with mud, because this is where the dirt's going to be. This is where it's not just me grass, but actual dirt, because, this is where people's footfall may still land. So it makes sense to have mud here. So that's kind of why I've chosen this block palette, because, this is like cobbled, sort of like, the state of the stone and stone bricks kind of shows the age of the road and how much people have been walking on. Like, cobblestones obviously has heavy footfall. This is like light footfall. The stone bricks is kind of just a detail, but then the stone is kind of just, it's like newer road, or it's just, not as traveled. It just makes it seem like people are actually walking on the roads. So yeah, that's kind of my thinking behind this block palette. But I'm gonna start working on these roads, and I'll be back with a progress update in a little bit. What in the world have I just found? Okay, this seems like something Darkest Mind might have made when he was still on the server. Huh. This might have been something with villagers that got blown up. Have I been building on top of this massive crater without even knowing it? That's really embarrassing, actually. But I really think this strategy of adding small walls as little dividers, kind of keeping the roads feeling closed in, and also hiding green spaces, because I've realized that green spaces are neat in not in large capacities, in small capacities, but when they start to become excessive like this, it tends to feel less like a city again. So kind of closing in green spaces, just making it so you don't have to deal with them, makes it so you don't have to fully make a road there, but it means that you can also have a little decorative wall, This, I want to turn this square into something. I want to keep the tree here because I believe this tree has honestly been here since I found Westhold as just a tiny little baby village. But I'd like to do something with this square. Maybe have these banners kind of, add more of these banners. Maybe that might look cool because I think this square looks nice. It's like a big stone square. Maybe have a band playing here or something. That'd be cool. Yeah, we could really do something cool here. I don't know what, but maybe once we establish some buildings here, have some just banners hanging across here. That would look so cool. I'm excited for this area. Okay, folks, so I am super happy with how these new roads have come together. First off, I really think this square, I think we could do something really awesome here. I don't know what, I feel like we could have like a party or a parade or something going on. Maybe even like a play or something. But over here, I just finished this up. Essentially, this house that we constructed on, I think, episode 3, it had this weird gap between it and this house because the roof lines, they need to have some space. Even though they actually connect right there, they need to have some space. So I kind of made it so that the back door of this house, which is currently missing, do I have any doors on me? Yes, I do. I made it so the back door of this house kind of has a bit of protection from the rest of the city, because this house is quite large, right? This house is a bit of a larger house, so you can imagine that the people living here would be a little bit wealthier, maybe a little bit, be able to have money for a little bit of privacy. So they have this little area right here that kind of protects their door. Maybe we could pop this, get rid of this door, and yeah, but I like that, or it makes sense, but I don't think it looks as nice to not have the door there. So yeah, you can just kind of imagine that the people living here kind of would want to have a bit more privacy with their back door, so they put up this little gate here, this little walled off area where the neighbors don't have any windows. So that's kind of my thinking behind that. But the next thing I want to do is just add some minor things around the streets. Just maybe even, like, I don't know, little trash cans, things like that. Just tiny little details that fill in space. Even a few market stalls, things like that. Just a few things that fill in the space and make it so that areas like over here, like this corner right here, don't look as dull. Or not as dull, but like as empty, So we can add a few market stalls and things like that. And just, I don't even think we're going to do a time lapse for this either. I think we're just going to do this. I think, again, just progress updates, because it makes more sense, I don't really know what'll look good, and generally I like to do time lapses for things where I'm a little bit more confident in what I'm doing. And here we are, folks. So I just finished up this little market stand here, and I think it actually looks pretty cool. I think the different colors of market stand, like awnings, just to add a bit of life, makes it feel like it removes the marketplace from the rest of the scenery. It kind of draws your eyes away from the rest of the scenery, which isn't my exact intent. I kind of want people to sort of focus on the town, but I think it's nice that when you're walking around here, you're like, you kind of go to explore this area because it's so colorful, even if there really isn't anything in the market stands. However, I'm just going to finish up a few other projects around here. Little, maybe like an animal stall or something over here, like an animal pen. I don't know, but something like that. And then we'll move on to other projects. Right as I just slept, it started, or right as I woke up from my Minecraft sleep, it started raining, so we're going to have to deal with this throughout the clip, because I do not want to wait 10 minutes to record this clip again after sleeping, so we're just going to have to contend with the rain. But I just finished up this nice little crop farm here. It's quite reminiscent of the farm next to my first little starter house that I constructed, the little farmhouse over there, which is now quite integrated into the surrounding town, so it's less of a little rural farmhouse, more of just another house in the town, but it's still mine. It feels like my own little property here, one of my own segments of property. But yeah, I think having this one growing beetroots is nice because it adds a bit of color. You're walking here and you're like, oh, nice little beetroot patch. And I just think it's necessary in a city to not have everything being filled. You have to have some things filled, right? You have to have most things filled, but you want to still have some little patches like this where it's only 1 or 2 blocks high, and it kind of lets your eyes rest on something that's not a large structure like this or like this. Kind of levels out the sightline, sort of levels out the skyline is what I meant to say. So yeah, I think it's definitely necessary to have little crop fields like this and things like that, you know, especially in the more heavily populated areas of the city, like over here. That's why I put this little chicken coop here instead of putting like a market stand or something, is because it fills the space better than a market stand or something, just because it, again, it like makes it feel a bit more lower and less crowded, I guess, because you don't want everything to feel super crowded. You want some things to feel crowded, but not everything. That's what I'm trying to say. However, the next thing I'd like to work on is going to involve traveling back to the mountain town, which still needs a name. So please leave any name suggestions down in the comments. Alright, so we're here in the mountain village, and I've assembled this shulker box. And when I place this down, you may think, what in the world is he going to build? And that kind of makes sense because, to be honest, I don't exactly know what I want to build. I either want to build some sort of mine in this mountain here because I feel like that would be really cool, or maybe like a little logging area over here. But I'm leaning towards the mine option because I did bring TNT and lanterns and things like that. So what I want to do is kind of well, this is actually going to require going back to Westhold to get some more materials, but I want to like make a decorated mine in this mountain, something more decorated than the other decorated mine that I did for the, you know, the kind of celebrating the release of 1.18, kind of something really grand, not grand, but like just a large mine. Because you can think about it this way: these people, the reason they settled in the mountains, or presumably the reason they settled in the mountains, is because there was probably it's probably a lot easier to mine in the mountains than in the you know, down like a valley or something, because the mountains tend to have more ores in them, and you don't have to go down steep to find the ores. So it's a little bit easier to mine in the mountains, especially in 1.18. So that's kind of my thinking behind putting a mine out here. And I want this to be exclusively a decorative thing. I don't want this to be a functional mine, or it could be, but I want it to seem like it's really it's really being used by a group of people who could exist in real life. Like this mine could exist in real life. So that's kind of that's the backstory behind this. But this is going to require going back to Westhold and just grabbing a few ores. I just want to, I have an idea of what I want to build here, and it's really cool. I think it's going to look cool. But it does require having some, like, ores and things on me, just because, like, you know, to actually simulate that they're mining ores out of the ground. So, gonna go grab those, and then we'll start building, maybe even in the form of a time lapse. Okay, so I've gotten this second shulker box ready. This is more, like, cavey stuff, I guess, you know, like ores, dripstone, water buckets to farm the dripstone, and I guess we'll start building this in the form of a time lapse. So first I gotta find a hill, and then enjoy the time lapse. Alright, I hope you folks enjoyed that time lapse, and I think I can officially say this is one of the coolest builds I personally have ever constructed. I'm not saying that this is one of the coolest builds I've ever seen, but this is probably one of the coolest builds I've ever constructed. Just, I don't know, it just feels like a proper mine. However, the next thing I want to work on is just kind of making this feel more like a mining, sort of like a mining district, or like a mining camp or something, and rather than just being this one mine shaft, kind of maybe having mine carts and things coming out of here, and then also maybe having like a little refinery building-ish, and then maybe having like a, I don't know, maybe in the future we can construct a building that'll kind of oversee the whole mining operations on top of this hill, but that will not be this episode because we're actually running out of time, believe it or not. So I'd like to get a few buildings constructed, and a few builds constructed, but the first thing I want to do is just kind of get like a little minecart track, and then also like a wagon maybe carrying up supplies to the town up there, and then also have like a refinery. So that's kind of like but the minecarts are the first port of call, obviously, because those are the most important things for the mine shaft, are having a few minecarts sort of traveling up and down. And I also need to get some of these shulker boxes, or some of the things inside these shulker boxes, put back in the storage hall at Westhold, because I'm running out of storage in here in the mountain town very quickly. Alright, so I've gotten this little minecart track laid here. I was originally planning on just laying it down throughout the entire mine shaft, but I decided on not doing that because when I did, it just looked messy. So kind of having it start here and then just having the minecart sort of, here, it just makes it feel like there are people kind of, going down into the mine shaft. This is going to be slow, but, people riding the minecart down to the mine shaft without feeling too messy, For a second, I thought that was a TNT minecart, and I was like, oh no, did I just set it off? But the next thing I want to add are just a couple wagons, kind of carrying things up to the town up there, probably raw materials, because I'd assume the minecarts or something like that would be carrying, maybe the wagons are carrying materials over to the refinery, but yeah, so like, because the minecarts, I guess, would be carrying people, so yeah, maybe the wagons are carrying materials over to the refinery to be refined, but also maybe up to the town, so yeah, it's kind of my idea with the wagons. So I'm just going to build a couple wagons with maybe some raw ore blocks in them. I don't know. And then I also want to fix this. I don't like the look of the mountains when they have like splotchy snow. I mean, I know it kind of makes sense, but I don't like it. Like, I think it just looks kind of strange. So I'm going to try and patch as much as this, as English, I have a hard time pronouncing words. I'm going to try and patch up as much of the snow as possible in between episodes. So yeah, maybe we could have just like a little hand cart here or something, I don't know, but something like this. Let's see how this looks. I don't know how big I want to make this. Probably just like this wide, and then like that. And then, oh no, the wheels. Okay, I'll just patch in that hole in a sec. But the wheels are going to look a little bit funky. I gotta put this on this way, I believe. Yeah, like that. And yeah, this looks a little bit funky. Maybe we'll have a 4-wheel design in a little bit, but I think this looks nice. And then just some trapdoors right here. Yeah, so yeah, I'm pretty happy with how this design looks, and maybe we can have a few of these kind of hauling materials up, but I definitely want to have a couple 4-wheel designs sort of hauling larger amounts of materials around. Alright, cool. So, I'm actually really happy with how this wagon looks. I think this one looks better than the other one, actually. I don't know, I just think it's a bit beefier. Looks like it could actually hold some ores in it. It's got some copper and raw copper. And this one, maybe you can just put down some iron ore, I guess. Here. Yeah, it looks good. Looks good. So, a sign, maybe? I don't actually have enough signs. But, yeah, so I'm happy with how these little wagons look, but now we need to find a cool spot to put this refinery, because I don't know where it should go. Maybe here? This might have enough space? Maybe? We'll see. But yeah, I want to figure out what kind of design I want to use, and just, yeah, how I want it to look, because maybe on camera, maybe off camera, I don't know, but it needs to have a cool interior, kind of looking like, it's actually refining the ores, so I need to find a decent enough, decently sized spot for this. Alright, so I'm just going to kind of do a quick bit of terraforming here to kind of expand this little flat area here, and then we'll start building. Because unlike the other houses up there, I don't want this to be on stilts, because I want to use like deep stone, or deep slate and stuff, kind of to make it seem like a much sturdier structure, because obviously there's gonna be a lot more going on inside of here. It's like a bunch of machinery and stuff, so it needs to be a bit of a sturdy. It needs to be a sturdier structure than the other ones. So definitely want to have it not be on stilts. Definitely want to have it securely foundationed. I don't think that's a word, but whatever, we'll go with it. We'll roll with it. All right, so I think this platform should be large enough. So now I'm just gonna get building. I'm just freehanding this. I legitimately have not done any testing, any experimentation. I'm just kind of winging it, trying to implement our previously implemented prismarine, some deep slate, all that good stuff, trying to make a kind of unique block palette for this building, because it's supposed to be a bit more significant than the other ones. Also, lots and lots and lots of campfires. You'll see why in a bit. Alright, this seems like a reasonable size for like the basic wall foundation, and then we can start adding like towers and things as we go, in case this starts to feel too boring. But I have a pretty interesting roof shape for this place, because I don't want it to feel as tall and steep as those houses, so I have a pretty interesting roof curve that I want to use. Hint, it's a curve. Huh. I imagined it being a slightly steeper roof shape, so maybe we can just extend that up, those blocks up one, and then maybe it'll look slightly steeper, and that should look pretty cool. Yeah, I'm really liking this roof shape. I think this is pretty cool, and then maybe we can just put some logs or supporting pillars or something right here. I don't know, but I'm really liking how this is looking, and then maybe we can have a giant chimney sticking out of the top of this, sort of like the super smelter from last season, but maybe even more campfires. As you can see, I really like campfires because they make it look like something's going on inside, some sort of machinery or something. I really like campfires. They're really cool. So the prismarine texture changes color. I just realized that recently, and that's kind of cool. I just realized. I just remembered that it does that. That's so cool, because sometimes it matches with the prismarine bricks, and sometimes it doesn't. That's cool. I like that. Oh no, I'm starting to have regret, because I feel like this doesn't look as cool as I thought it would. If we put some supports and things in here, the roof might not look as out of place. But I don't know. It looks a tad bit out of place right now, just because it kind of just starts right there so abruptly. So maybe we could also put some trapdoors or something there, just to make it start a little bit less abruptly. Chest monster, question mark? Running out of stone stairs. Not good. And I just realized I'm completely out of stone slabs. Alright, folks, I am super happy with how this refinery building has come together. I kind of wanted to give a much darker aesthetic, again, kind of making it stand out from the rest of the landscape, and I think it does just that, especially with that giant chimney at the top. And when you come inside, it's pretty much just an upscaled Minecraft furnace. Like, if you essentially, it's just a Minecraft furnace. You stick your ores or whatever in there, you know, grab an ore, for example. I don't have any ores on me right now, but you stick your ores in there, and they'd be cooked up and become their ingot forms. And then you take them out and put them to use in the town. So that's kind of my thinking behind this whole place. Is it's like a very large furnace, which I think is pretty funny. But I think that giant chimney at the top just really makes it stand out. And there's a little bit of terraforming that I need to do, specifically right here where that happens. So yeah, a little bit of terraforming that I need to do, but other than that, I am super happy with how this mining complex has come together. Off camera, I think I'm gonna put in like some coarse dirt roads leading up to the town, and then this whole place will pretty much be done. And I actually think that this is where we're going to leave off today's episode. So as always, my name has been Void Doctor. Please like, subscribe, and share if you did enjoy this episode, and I'll see you all next time. Bye for now.